All right, it's 6 o'clock. We'll call to order a regular meeting of the Board of Education. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yep. The first order of business, we have a new board member, and she will stand up and take her oath.
Hello. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of school board member according to the best of my ability. Thank you very much. Sue will have you sign that later. We'll both sign it. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Congratulations, Melanie. Okay, next, I'm going to ask for a motion to enter into executive session to discuss matters relating to the termination of a particular person. Is there a motion? Kristen, second. Jenny, all in favor? Aye. Okay. Okay, next up, Sue. Are there any additions, deletions to the agenda?
I did. I sent them to you guys this afternoon. There'll just be some changes to 7.4 because they had fingerprints cleared, changing a salary to a different step, and I added the policy committee meeting minutes from 12/11.
Okay, thank you. All right, can I have a motion to accept the minutes of the November 15th meeting? Kristen, second by Jenny. All in favor? Aye. Okay, we have a presentation tonight from Jennifer Murphy on fall sports. Jen here. Hey, Jen, welcome. Yep.
Thank you. So we're going to do a recap of our fall season. So the last presentation I gave was sort of a summary of all 3 seasons put together. So this will just be fall for you all. I know the presentation was shared with you, so I'm just going to highlight a few things from our season. We had a very, very busy fall, so a lot has happened, so I'll just try to give you a brief overview. And I'll just give you a few moments to read over the slides as I go through them. So just fall sports in review, we had 305 student athletes that participated, 8 sports offered, and 20 total teams. So like I said, a very busy fall. Girls varsity soccer. They had a great run this fall. They went 12-4-2. They did excellent. They really led Colonial Council. They earned the number 2 seed for Class A for sectionals. Their most exciting game, I would say, was the sectional game against Glens Falls. They defeated them after regulation and overtime periods, and it went to penalty kicks. And it was in the rain. It was a terrific game. The girls played really hard and came out with the win, so that was awesome. Boys varsity soccer. Again, a really tough, resilient group. These kids played really, really hard every single game. They were fun to watch just because they never gave up. They had a great attitude. And we also had the return of all 3 levels for boys soccer this fall, which we feel is definitely very important for the program. Girls varsity tennis. team was led by 5 seniors and just a really nice group of young ladies. Coach Steve always just talks about how nice the tennis girls are, and they just enjoy each other and have fun. Boys varsity golf. This is actually a co-ed team that we have, but we participate for boys. The team was bigger this year than last year, so we're continuing to grow this program. And I wanted to thank Sycamore again for hosting Colonial Council Championships this fall, not once, but twice, because we got rained out the first time. So, tough group. Girls varsity swimming and diving. We call this team our small but mighty team. They placed 3rd at Colonial Council Championships and also broke a school record at Section 2 Championships with the 200 freestyle relay. Boys and girls varsity cross country. Another program that gained student athletes this year, attending 4 invitationals. Girls varsity volleyball. And each slide lists the Colonial Council All-Stars that were recognized. Girls varsity cheer. I know they worked very hard every single day in practice for their performance routine that they shared with us at the pep rally and the halftime show for homecoming. Boys varsity football. Impressive 12-1 overall record, 15 seniors. 3rd straight Section 2 Class B championship title, 3rd straight New York State Class B regional championship title, 3rd straight New York State semifinal championship appearance. We also had 20 student athletes recognized for first team All-Stars and 3 for second team. So we pretty much dominated the All-Star team. So just an incredible season. So many student athletes, coaches, ADs will never see something like this. So I just really am honored to have been a witness to it. I wanted to congratulate our Scholar Athlete Fall teams. This is through the New York State Public High School Athletic Association. In order to be recognized, again, this is 75% of the roster for the team has a 90 or above average. So our fall teams did spectacular. Each individual Scholar Athlete will receive a Scholar Athlete pin if they had a 90 or above average for their first quarter grades that align with the fall season. Just looking forward to next year. I think I mentioned to you guys before that each season kind of seems like a school year to me. So just trying to make some notes for next fall. As you can see, this is a picture from Golf Senior Day. I wanted to also thank our Sports Association for providing our senior banners for all of the teams this fall. So we just had some great accomplishments this fall, looking to keep that going. And then just looking for areas of improvement for our other teams and looking how to support our student athletes the best we can in the classroom and on the playing field. I wanted to thank our district administrators, our district team, all of you, our coaches definitely, and our sports association for their support this fall. We couldn't have all the events that we do, excuse me, without you guys, so we really appreciate it. We're also working on finalizing our fall sports review article, just like we did for last year, so that will be coming out in the next couple days with photos from the fall season. I just wanted to give anybody time for any questions.
I had just one question. So the classes, I noticed that girls varsity soccer was Class A
Yes.
this year, and most of the other teams were probably Class B. I don't know how it breaks out, but how is that determination made? Which team is going to be in which class?
So there was some changes. They added a AAA class for the largest schools, and that was a different classification that started this year. So it was a bit confusing. So some of our teams did stay in Class B. For example, football stayed the same, but they looked for other team sports. And with the addition of the AAA class, that moved up some of the other schools to a different class. So we were moved in some of our team sports up to Class A. So it was a little bit tricky for postseason. We had a little bit different competition for some of the teams. So those are, again, determined by BEDS numbers, and we were sort of right on the cusp of B to A. So that's why you'll see kind of the differentiation for this year. It was kind of rolled out, just, specifically that AAA kind of made things a little bit different this year with those bigger teams and then how we fit into the other classifications.
Okay. So now is that fixed going forward, or does that potentially change each year?
It changed for this year, which was kind of unusual, but
Yeah.
we think it's going to be the same for a few years moving forward. I think they're going to hopefully reevaluate that to see to see how it's working for each class. And I think we might be staying in Class A for some of the sports, but if anything changes, I can certainly report back on that.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome. Yes.
This season, starting off the basketball uniforms, they're great, but they are still, is there an opportunity where, maybe not this year, but next year we open up a store or something for their warm-ups? Because their warm-ups are not new, which my son has one, and it has a hole in it, and it's short on him. I mean, he's 6'4", so it's hard to get him stuff, but they're different from, like JV's different from varsity looking. Is there something where we could eventually, you could buy your own and then you take it home, like it's yours? Because if it's just a warm-up jersey, just a thought of putting it out there where next year, or every sport, this is your warm-up jersey. If you want to purchase one, great. If not, then you don't have a warm-up. Just a thought or something that we could do, because they are kind of grungy.
You bring up a good point. I think we were just trying to get
But
through
the
the
uniforms
uniforms
are
to
great.
make sure we have everybody kind of consistent and
Yeah.
trying to make sure we're keeping on that rotating schedule. But I think that's something I can talk about with Jesse, or, talking about with branding and looking at our Spirit stores. I know
Yeah.
we'll probably have to make some updates there, so that could be something that we look at for students to buy things that they can take home if they want, or if it's, fits a little better, or whatever the case is. So that's something we can talk about and look at.
That would be great, yeah, because I know I'm just speaking for JV, I don't know about varsity, but on home days, they wear their warm-ups to school as like their dress up. So I'm like, what, you have a hole in it, you just don't look presentable, so I just was curious if there's something we could do in the future, so.
I can definitely make note of that, and we can
Cool.
talk about that
Thank
with the
you.
uniform replacement plan.
Thank you. Well, yeah, and I think the warm-ups say Indians anyway, so they'll be gone next year.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I have one question. The slide before, you said discussion on maybe merged
Yes.
programs. What sports would you consider teams merging?
I'm specifically looking at boys and girls swimming and diving.
Okay.
I know in the past that there has been merged programs between, I believe, Coxsackie for swimming, and I know Greenville had some interest there. We've just had smaller numbers with those programs, and just for numbers' sake, we struggle to compete in those areas with some of the teams in our area. So specifically, I was looking at swimming and diving and sort of what's goes into applying for a merged program application, and just to have further success for our programs, and then also maybe giving neighboring children in other school districts the opportunity to swim if they don't have that sport at their school, perhaps.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thanks, Jen.
Thank you.
All right. So we have 21 business considerations tonight. Is there a motion for one or more of the business considerations? Okay, Jenny, motion for all. Second? Kristen? All right, in particular, there's one donation in here, $620. It's a donation from the Ravena Grange for libraries for Peter B., so thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions or comments on the business considerations?
I have one.
Yeah.
And maybe I just I'm not familiar with it. But for 6.9, with the agreement between advanced therapy, Will the dates be put in when that's signed? Maybe I haven't noticed this before, and it's the first time, but in the agreement that's attached, there's no dates in there. On the first page of it, it says this agreement made on blank day of blank, 2023. Okay, perfect. That's all I was curious about. Perfect, thank you. Perfect. Thank you.
That don't,
Okay.
So-
And maybe it's been like that before and I just didn't notice. I'm sorry. That one jumped out at me for some reason.
that donation that you called out, Mike, what that actually was, I went to it, and Dr. Belli was there at Peter B. It already happened. What they did is, the Grange every year, the Queemans Hollow Grange provides every third grader with a dictionary. So we went down there, and the whole third grade class came in, and they all got their own dictionary and everything, and I guess they've been doing that, and the Bethlehem one does in Bethlehem, and over the years, almost 1,000 dictionaries or something. He said there was a lot.
Has to be more because it was decades. There were people who remember it happening, teachers remember it happening when they were in school, so.
Yeah, and it was, they all sat on the ground, and they were all happy to get their own book. It was- So,
That's great. Did Jesse say that? Jesse's,
What are you doing with that?
he's running through the house yelling out vocabulary
Yeah,
words.
yeah, it's my nightmare.
Anything else? Okay, all in favor of approval? Aye?
aye.
Okay, personnel considerations, 7-1 through 732. Is there a motion for one or more?
Well,
Jenny, motion for all. Second? Kristen? Any discussion?
To the retirees and the school district.
Yes. Okay, all in favor?
aye.
Aye. Okay, moving into special reports. I guess we'll talk a little bit now about the mission, vision, goals work that we've done. So board has come together now 2 times. We've done a lot of work towards coming up with a new mission statement, vision statement, and goals for the district. So what we've put together so far has been circulated to all of the board members. So if anybody has any additional feedback, let us know soon, because we're going to start look at adopting these formally. And before we do that, we'd like to share with the staff in the district what we've come up with. So sometime in January, on a day that all of the buildings will be available, some members of the board will go out and we'll meet with staff from all the buildings, and we'll kind of walk through what the process was, what the vision, mission statements are that we came up with, what the goals are. Be a quick, I think, presentation, but we want to engage the building staff, the teachers, and others who are actually going to take ownership of these and fulfill them for us. So we're looking forward to that. So as it stands right now, we've got, I think, some good work put down. Just take a last look at it now, through the end of this month, and let's circulate by email if there's anything further we'd like to do in this area before we start rolling it out to the district. You have anything further on that, Brian?
I did share with the board via email, and what I'll do is I'll open it to through a document with commenting rights. People can write right in it.
Okay.
Make notes if they want to.
Okay.
And as Mike was alluding to, the idea was to choose a day when the staff are in their faculty meetings. They have their faculty meetings all on the same day, that whoever was available, if they're available, to have a few board members go from like the high school, do 10 minutes of high school, go over to the middle school and do 10 minutes, and then Becker and Peter B. all on the same day, just to talk through, like Mike said, process. But that way, they're already there, and just like Ed was describing on the opening day, it is great to hear from the board, live and in person, sometimes.
Okay. Dr. Bailey, we'll move to you next.
Boy, December is a busy month. You probably, ideally, have heard that between last board meeting and now, we had our art contest out for imagery for our new mascot. I've seen a few of the renderings from middle school and high school students, and it was awe-inspiring, some of the work that they were able to do, integrating the Raven and RCS and the colors. And the art teachers are actually meeting tomorrow to weed it down to a manageable number. We're going to go to a public, just like we have before, we're going to go to a public vote using a Google form where people can see each of the images, and we're going to have people select the one they like the most, and that's where we're going to go from here. And depending on the quality of it, we believe that we'll probably have to have a graphic designer do some things to it in order to adapt it, because you've seen imagery from professional teams. Sometimes the vector, it's just a monochrome or a three-color drawing of something versus a picture. So there might be some alternatives to exactly what has been submitted, but we're going to stay as true to that as possible so that we can do clothing, do website, do those kinds of things. And we've had a few people who have actually volunteered their time to do that too. So I think we'll be able to do that with no expense. And from that, we will make a commitment for those areas. I presented to the board last spring, and I don't think I've done it this fall, that the areas that we know in the district that will need to be rebranded, the target date is June of 2025 for the physical plant. So the things that you see in the district that have any of the spears or Indians on it, the idea is by June 30 of 2025, we have done a good job of doing the transformation. At the end of this year, I think it's agents of the school are no longer allowed to promote Indians. So I am, the district office, the staff, they are agents of the district, so they should not be wearing Indians clothing and things like that. I'm assuming that's what that means. But, as part of the kickoff for what we're talking about with this new mascot is that we would create something where everyone felt as though we are all together in this. We don't know if it'll be a t-shirt or what it will be, but it'll be valuable for everyone to have that sense of equality and that we're all on board with that. But we still do have more than a year and a half to finish this process. And for big things like we know we have to do some work on the football field, that'll be part of our regular maintenance. We're at the year 8 on that field, but that's a construction project. That's not something you just go and do. So there'll have to be a referendum in and around other project work to conduct that, and that may go beyond June of 2025. The state has said that they will give special dispensation for people who are moving in the right direction, but for a legitimate reason they need an extension. So please know that that's there as well. They don't mean t-shirts. They mean major physical structural things that need to be replaced. But I don't anticipate a problem that we'll have meeting the timelines. We're in a pretty good position right now. The Ravena-News-Herald has been very gracious. They've picked up the news, so the news around this and our marketing plan, so the community knows that this will be going to the public next week. We'll obviously send it to students and we'll send it to families. It'll be on our website and on our Facebook page. So hopefully we get a lot of people who are willing to participate. New York State is just about to release state scores on state tests on the New York State Report Card website, the NYSID portal, we call it affectionately. That's for every school in New York State, so I'll share the link with the board when that comes out, but it's publicly available. Anyone will be able to go in and look at our students' overall performance. It's not individual students, but overall performance, and Jean may talk about it more. It does not show any school designations, though. In the old days, it would have been in good standing, in need of improvement, in receivership. There were a little bit different criteria, but remember the 1, 2, 3, 4s? That's not the information that they'll be sharing. They won't be sharing designations, but they'll be sharing overall how our students performed on the tests. And I don't think the designations will be released until the end of January, around then. It usually takes some months to do it, but we'll be looking forward to that as well. Next week, a week from today, you probably know because we did send an email to staff, the Alleluia Chorus is happening at the high school concert, and anyone who has sung it or is willing to learn it in one rehearsal is welcome to sing the Alleluia Chorus at 7 p.m. next Wednesday. I'll be singing. Jean said she'd be singing. Jean's really thinking about it. And likewise, this Friday, our high school band and chorus are going to be at the University Plaza performing again at noon. So if you're anywhere in downtown Albany, please stop in. It's awesome to see the state workers and families come to watch the performance. And the kids love it because they get to eat lunch in the food court while they're down there.
Yeah.
I'm like, really?
They have taco places, they have
That's what I
Thai,
said.
they have
I'm like,
sushi,
you're
they have all day long.
Yeah. Come on. You know.
Salad for everyone.
Exactly.
When is that?
It's this Friday at noon.
This Friday? Okay.
Yeah. And we'll definitely have it on our website and on our Facebook page so that families know that that's happening. And lastly, a number of staff got together this past Monday for a gingerbread house throwdown. District office was heavily involved, a little competitive, but some elementary, middle, and district office staff participated in this, and the middle schoolers are going to judge those houses on Friday. And then the winners get to wear a medallion, a gingerbread medallion all year. It was very, very prideful. But that was a fun event. Actually, Jackie and I made a house together. It's going to win, just saying. Theirs might win too, I don't know. But at any rate, it's good seasonal stuff. And if you look, as you walk around the building on your way out today, take a look at some of the decorations that the students have done and the staff have done to try and get into the spirit of things. It's a quick, busy time of year. Thank you.
Y'all done? Brian?
I am done.
Okay.
I am now done.
Jean?
I just wanted to give a couple of updates. One, because I know this was a question last time. The 3 through 8 test results, individual for students and families, did get mailed out on December 4th. It was late, and NARIC apologized, but the vendor was as responsive as it could be.
I thought perhaps the plan was much earlier, since it said, hope you had a good summer and enjoy the start of your school year. And it was December, so.
Yes, yeah. I know in Brian's news and notes, he had linked in the entire Blue Ribbon Commission recommendations. I just linked in the slide presentation that I have. There's just the summary of the 12 points. Something that I shared with the curriculum content specialists, just for us to start thinking about, and we'll be monitoring it, watching how state ed decides to adopt and implement, and we'll work closely with our Capital Region BOCES to help support whatever those changes may look like over time. But they will inform long-term planning for our programs. And then I think you are aware that the TAPS updates are on the website. So just progress monitoring year to date. There were some data points that were not yet collected just because of the timing at the elementary level, but some really impressive results. In most cases, a lot of work to keep things on track to meet those targets. And when the data was indicating that we weren't, each school made some changes that were pretty meaningful, and I think will impact those pathways.
And the important thing that Jean mentioned is the target and action plans and the current status is on the website. We want to make this information public and transparent. We want the families to be involved, the board to be involved, and the students themselves to be involved. It's not a conversation intended for just staff. We're going to try and solve this problem on our own. This is unquestionably, or reap the benefits. Unquestionably, it requires all of us to be involved to do that. And that's something else that we'll be making sure that we push out in a good way with marketing.
The next item, I just wanted sort of just a FYI. As you know, we have received federal funds for COVID relief, and we've used that in really meaningful ways, decisions made long before I arrived. As we are shifting toward the end of that funding stream, we've decided to reallocate some of those funds to hire long-term building subs for each school to make sure that we're in some way addressing the shortage. And I believe we are likely have 2 hired at the elementary level, but we're going to continue that as an open posting until it gets filled and just keep hiring. And that, when we think about shifting those funds, and we've heard a lot of the pressure from the principal side and the teacher side and trying to cover classes when we do not have subs coming, there aren't folks out there. This is a more desirable position, and that way we have someone every day that we can move wherever we need to. And if folks have questions about that, or they have some other input as far as how we might want to reallocate what's left of those funds, they are welcome to contact me.
Is there a deadline for when those funds have to be used by?
September 30th. So, for example, we're using
24?
2024. So a big chunk of the money that we do have still in that funding stream will be allocated to Discovery Camp. And we'll be thinking about our planning for budget for next year and thinking about how we might manage that piece when those funds are no longer available.
So these 4 substitute positions, and I guess any others that have been funded through these funds, the idea is after this funding expires, we'll transition them into regular budgetary items at that time?
We'll have to consider that. Yeah.
It's part of our budget discussions that we started this week with
Okay.
principals and thinking about, once we've established these, where are the needs still existing after the 3 years, and making some decisions and bringing that back to the board.
Okay.
And then the final update that I had was, we, at the last meeting, talked about bringing the Code of Conduct Committee back together to take a closer look at some of our discipline data. And my plan is to send an invite out to the folks who were on the previous Code of Conduct Committee and anyone else who is interested, but I also wanted to solicit interest here from board members, if anyone wants to join us. The dates, and I intentionally chose just 3 dates, a tight schedule to see what we could get through, and then make some determinations about what other work we might need to do beyond looking at that data. So January 10th, 23rd, and 31st, from 3:45 to 5 o'clock. Location to be determined. I think I signed out this room, but I'm not quite sure. I'll have to double check on that. So if you're interested, let me know.
And if you.
Sure.
Say the.
Sorry. January 10th, 23rd, and 31st.
It's in there's a backup
Yeah,
slide.
I found that me just telling you my notes from my notes, so I created a slide that's linked into the agenda that has just these points
Okay.
also.
And would we be able to make a virtual
Yeah,
option for people who couldn't be in the space with us?
Yes, but I'm not sure how they would be viewing the data, because we'll be presenting it in the room.
If you do it on a Google Meet, you could.
Okay.
You could display it in the.
I gotta brush off my COVID skills, get back to those
I
virtual
don't think you
meetings.
should call it COVID.
Some good skills came out of it.
Remote skills.
Or my remote skills,
How about coping skills?
coping skills. Yes, I can make that happen.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Because it's a tight, it's an odd time of day for people who are at work or are traveling back. So if we'll get more people by doing that, we'll make that happen.
When we do things like put the target and action plans on the website, do we do anything to drive traffic to that? Like
We'll
through a
put it on
Facebook posting?
as well.
Okay.
Yeah. I just made a note to make sure that was one of the elements of it. She just, we put a lot of pressure on Michelle to take a boring spreadsheet and turn it into something that was more attractive, and she did a good job. I gave her the deadline of Friday, and she sweat pouring from her brow, and I said, all right, if you really had to, we could do it for Monday, but I think she got it done by Monday and had built the website by then. We wanted to have the discussion with you, and now we'll make sure we do the rest of the marketing as well. Junior, are you all done? Because
I had one more thing, and I'll give you more information after the new year, but this week we had a site visit from the State Education Department. Because we got such a generous grant for UPK, part of that is for them to do site visits. We had to provide an enormous amount of evidence to make sure that we have a quality program in place. So she's going to type up her notes and meet with us and the teachers after the new year. But as we were leaving, I said, anything glaring that we need to address right now? And she said, absolutely not. There's really good things happening. The only thing I want to talk to folks about is, maybe just some best practices that they might want to include. So I was hoping to get some critical feedback, and I think we'll get some of that in that follow-up meeting, but not so critical that we're doing things wrong. Just ways to improve. So I'm excited about that.
Any update on when we might get our funding from that grant?
Is it here?
What, the money?
Yeah, did it come in?
Oh, so,
The actual,
has not come
the actual money?
it's generally not till later on in the year. So, we are getting it.
We are
We
getting it.
will.
Okay. The full amount? 'Cause I know there was some,
$524,000 for that grant.
okay.
Yes.
So that money is definitely coming to the district
Yes.
later this year?
Yes,
Later this school
we
year?
have a letter confirming it.
That is due almost entirely to Jean's diligence because, and working with a very good facilitator at the State Education Department. We've said before, they've been kind of skeleton crew there for various reasons, and they've hired some people in there, and they kept on it, Jean kept on it, and they worked on it together for more than a week to squeeze as much of the funding out of it as possible. And if she hadn't stuck with it, we would have gotten significantly less.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I forgot that we got a call from the Red Cross today. We are a shelter for the Red Cross in case of emergency. In my time here, we've had to use that. People have been in the cafeteria because of flooding or some other issue. They had a question today of whether or not the school would consider being a shelter for families with pets. They would provide all of the equipment to do that. They would provide appropriate cages to contain the animals. But I wanted to bounce it off the board. We know what happens. The Red Cross comes in with cots and clothing and food and those types of things when this turns into a shelter. We don't have any of those things. They bring it in, they just use our space because we have those facilities to help. I didn't personally think of anything that would be a block for that because it's a building that, this is basically the only place we have carpet in the whole building. They're hard surfaces. They're made to endure for decades and centuries almost. So I didn't have a lot of fear of an animal causing harm. And if the Red Cross were bearing any liability issues, I was okay with it. But I wanted to ask what your thoughts were.
What do we do with schools in session when it's used in this way?
When it was that level of emergency, we weren't in school.
Okay.
So I don't know whether the emergency caused us to be closed or it wasn't during school session. I don't remember. I don't think they would use us as an option if we were in session. We're a business. We have to stay in
Yeah,
business.
okay.
So that's my easiest answer. We wouldn't have people living in the cafeteria while the high school is in session. Yeah, but that's a good question. Yeah, you may. Yeah, correct. like
That would
the
be
auxiliary
easily
gym.
separated, right?
Yeah.
I don't personally see any issue with it.
No, me either.
So these are domestic animals, obviously, right?
Yeah.
These are cats and dogs and
Cows.
rabbits, yeah, right?
Well, maybe cows, no.
And really what they're doing, they're creating a list of possibilities. It's not like tomorrow they're going to move people in with
Yeah.
those things. That it is just when no other options available. And I got to say, they would choose us last, if they have churches available or a senior center or something that they knew that it wouldn't interfere with the operations, they would choose them first. They're very good about that. So
As long as they've got insurance and they're covering that end of
Yeah.
it. I don't see an
that's
issue
the
with
only
it.
question I'll ask.
Animals work to people, so.
I knew you were going to say that.
Thank you.
Jesse?
All right. I have a few things that the board asked me at the last meeting to kind of look into it, so I'd like to give you guys an update on where I am with that. First off, the security assessment. I reached out to Needham, our risk management service, and they did say that they do a security assessment or security audit, and that's all encompassing of our contract we already had for them. So we are going to, move forward with having them do a security audit. I've also reached out to a few other companies that do it. I think Jackie was the one that brought up a name from the last meeting. I did reach out to them, and I'm waiting back to hear a quote on if we want a little bit more detail than what Needham provided. So I gathered 2 more quotes and more information on those 2 other companies. And I don't want to give too much more about what Needham's going to do, because he kind of told us to keep it close to our, because we don't want to give any information out. But after, they will report out to what they find. Next, if you want to, I have a kind of a calculation. I have for the senior citizen disabled tax exemption. If the board members last year, we did do this, we increased the amounts for this exemption. Greene County this year increased it again. So last year, we increased it for the minimum was $34,000, where you would get a 50% exemption off your taxes, all the way up to $42,399.9, where you get 5%. That's currently what the district has right now. And you can see below, we had 27 people in the 2023 that got a total of a little over $2.7 million exemptions from this, and that number below there is the total assessment value for this Greene County.
There's only 27 people?
Yeah, it was only 27 people that fit into this category.
Is this just within Greene County, or is this district-wide?
This is district-wide.
District-wide, there's only 27 people with the
Fit into
senior
this,
citizen
yeah.
exemption? Okay.
Only who applied, or?
Yeah, I mean, there is a extensive process to apply, and you have to do it every year because it's based on income.
Okay.
So it is kind of a faulty system, because a lot of these senior citizens don't realize what they have to do. And they have to file these forms every year, so some people miss out on it. So if you do know anybody that might fit under these criteria, please let them know that. You can put it in my direction. I'm more happy to help anybody to show what kind of forms they need to fill out. But yeah, it's a very low number.
Yeah.
So why I have this in front of you tonight is Greene County kind of increased it to give it a little bit more opportunity for a little bit more savings for people out there. Again, I can't give you numbers on exactly how this is going to affect the district next year, because again, it's based on people's people's taxes and income amount. But I did want to say that they increased it, and see if you guys wanted to look into increasing it again. I would recommend maybe since we increased it last year once already, let's keep an eye on the numbers and see how it affects the rest of the tax paper, and maybe look at it again next year. And we can increase it to a higher amount as well. But I just want to get some input from the I didn't want to not let you guys know that this was happening out there without getting input from you, and see if that's something you guys would like to do as well. I don't know about Albany County. Greene County just brought this to my attention.
Okay.
So what's the current question before the board?
I'm sorry. Would you like me to pursue, what we need to do to increase the exemption amount for the district, or we don't need to do anything? I would like to wait at least another year so we can gather a little bit more information to give you guys an accurate number, how it's going to affect everybody else. But again, I didn't want to make a decision for you guys. No, we've had it, but last year we made a big jump
Okay.
in the exemption amount. I believe last year the lowest amount was, it was a lot lower. I think it was like almost 29,000. So we did do a significant bump since previous years. But again, anytime I see this, I don't want to make the decision for you guys.
I'm okay with letting it roll for 1 year and see.
Do you want to take a look at it and see?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have to, I think, see what it does to the entire tax base before we
Okay,
make any
so I'll
decision
keep an
on it.
eye on it. I'll do some calculations and report out next year around this time.
Okay.
Thank you. Real quick, I know we're running out of time here. So I was looking more into the GPS for the buses. Mr. Lips and myself actually went out and visited 2 other districts that have pieces of the new program that we would like to use, and we really got some good input from the transportation directors on how they implemented it, what things worked, what didn't work. But they are seeing a lot of success. East Greenbush has attendance on their buses where they have the kids actually swiping on the bus when they walk in and out, and that's at all grade levels, which is a great safety thing. Everybody knows where the kids are on the bus. Also, it helped with routing. You could see if there's, oh wait, why is there only 20 kids on this bus and there's 50 kids on this bus? So they were able to move things around, so times were better and that kind of stuff. We went up to Scotia Glenville the other day as well, and they have the GPS and the app that we currently use. And what they showed us was they also have the attendance. So once a kid swipes on the bus, a family member that opts into having the app could see that their student is on the bus. So they say if my son here at the high school, I know he's getting on the bus at 2:30, it will have thank you, an alert or a notification that he is on the bus now coming home. So, and they said that alleviated a lot of phone calls and a lot of concerns from parents. And they also have you can do a circle around your neighborhood, and then once that bus comes into that circle, you get a notification, hey, your bus is 2 minutes out. So, and they said the implementation was very easy. The company was done very quickly, and they had great training. So we're, I'm very optimistic, and we're still looking into the program. I'm trying to find one more to really lock it down. Also, we did post for a sub-dispatcher to help with some of the additional communications that we're having back and forth with the bus garage. So, if we have everybody driving because we're low on drivers, this person will not be driving, this person would just be answering phones and communicating back and forth with parents.
And we got to go over there.
And last but not least, I think we already kind of talked about, we are in the budget process now. We're meeting with building leaders. If there's anything specifically that the board, other than obviously your goals, and if there's anything you would like us to concentrate on, please let us know, and we'll take a look at that during the budget process.
All right, thanks, Jesse.
Thanks.
All right, let's head down to the award ceremony. We'll come back after. Okay, welcome back. We're going to turn back to Jesse for one more item.
Yeah, I did want to talk a little bit about, the policy committee is looking into going through the NISBA, a policy review. And they did want me to mention some of the specifics behind it. So what they would be doing is they would be generally taking our policy manual and reviewing it over 2 years. And first they would look at if it's within compliance, and then if there's anything that's not, they would help us do that. And that process, that review is over a 2-year process. And that alone, that service is $3,500. And then there's also a comprehensive policy service where they'll dig into all of our policies and, give us recommendations on how it should be. And then the board could, with some of the policies, we can make a local, what's the term they used?
Use local discretion.
Discretion, yes, thank you.
As long as it's within the legal parameters.
Right, but they would review it all for us. And that, let's see. They also would include a annual update where if there's anything new legally or guidance-wise, they would send that to us, and we would be able to, implement that into our board policy. There's also another thing where they would help us with getting all of our policies on board docs. So this is a very comprehensive, to really get our policy very easily for everybody to see. updated. As most of you know, and it will be searchable, very easily used, like everything will be broken out, easily to get to on board docs. The total policy would be $13,000 over 2 years. And that's with the comprehensive, everything detailed. They would help us in policy meetings and go through all our policies, make sure we're on the right track.
The other reason why we're looking at it is our recent relationship with NISBA, as they've done workshops with us, helped us to develop our mission, vision, and goals. They also, there's a marriage with NISBA and board docs that's very vibrant. When you look at other districts, the other sample districts that we were looking at for board docs were districts that were partnered with NISBA. I think as an organization that serves boards of education, they have been very good at ensuring that we are protecting ourselves and our students and our staff with fidelity, and that there's nothing legitimately wrong with using the BOCES to do it. It's just a different type of service. And we have successfully partnered with them, but I will say that it's been a lot of work to do it. For various reasons, it's been a lot of work. So we'd be looking for an organization that was highly responsive, understood the work that you're trying to do as a committee and as a board in general, and is going to be able to support our really getting this to the public in a way that they can understand. That's been the basic premise of every policy meeting, is how is this policy going to be read and understood by the public and be in compliance? And I think they've got a really good grapple on that.
Are you saying it was a lot of work to work with BOCES in this regard, or would it be a lot of work to work with NISBA?
It was a lot of work to work with BOCES in some ways.
And you think that that would be better with NISBA, that it might be a easier, like, sharing of the workload, I guess?
If for no other reason, they are 10 miles up the road. If we need someone to come here and help us, they would do that.
Yeah.
And I think that would be very beneficial to us.
A lot of other districts use this as well. Have had a lot of success, so.
Yeah. I said to the policy committee the other day, I legitimately couldn't think of a school district that I work with that is in the area that isn't using NISBA. There are a few, but not one that I can consciously think of. They're overwhelmingly using NISBA.
Okay. Is this something you're looking for a decision, or this was just information for us?
It was more of an information. That's the route that the policy would like to go.
It wouldn't require board action because of the level of the expense. We just wanted to let you know what the policy committee was doing, and we forgot to mention that someone from NISBA presented to us at our meeting 3 weeks ago. So that was another thing. It gave us a better perspective of the ins and outs of what their service would look like.
Okay.
And Jesse did a good job of summarizing it.
Try to.
I do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a
thanks,
lot of
Jesse.
information.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jesse.
Yep.
Anybody have any new business items to discuss tonight? Okay, old business. I think we've talked about just about everything that's on here. We can remove the fireman's exemption from old business. Okay. Well, I'm going to ask for a motion then to enter into executive session to discuss matters leading to the potential discipline of a particular person
And to confer with school
and
council.
to confer with council. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Ed, second. Kristen, all in favor? Aye? We're not.
No.
Yeah, there'll be action when we come out. Thank you.